Hey gang, welcome once again to another video of my workout programs. Today is my favorite day of all. This is pulling day, which of course means lots and lots of pull-ups. Pull-ups of every shape, size, and color that we're working on. Starting my warm-up with a little overhand grip pull-up. Notice the arc in my back, just kind of loosening up the shoulders, trying to get the lats engaged. Supersetted that with sets of these rear shoulder flies. Notice the straps are close together for the anchor point. That means that the handles are fighting me as I pull them apart using my towels for this exercise here. This is just like, you compare this to like a dumbbell fly, not even close. This is heads and tails by far a more effective exercise here on the straps. Like using my towels, but of course the handles work really well for different grip variations. So then just another set there. By the way, when I'm showing these different workouts, and I have like a couple sets of these that I'm doing supersets, each one of these sets represents at least 2 or 3 additional sets. I just don't want a 30-minute long video of me just doing nothing but the same exercise. That would get fairly boring. So on these videos, when you see me do like 1 set or 2 sets, it's actually like 5 or 6 that I'm doing. Switching over to the underhanded grip, getting a little bit more bicep action. Notice the back flexion in this. I'm really trying to kind of arc my back a little bit, getting a little bit lazy about it these days. You can see my knees picking up just a little bit there on a couple of exercises. But the key thing that I'm really trying to work on is keeping the back arched and the thoracic spine. Good scapular retraction with that kind of technique. Moving on, this is more of the progressive style of pull-up. I know you can't quite see from this angle, but my body weight is much more on the underhanded grip arm. The overhand grip arm that's right near the post there is actually pushing my body towards the underhanded grip arm. So basically what I'm doing is I'm doing a more difficult pull-up on one side at a time. So got the left side going on there, take a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a break, and then set up. Always grab first on that, and then I figure out what kind of grip, how far I want it away. The further apart your hands are, the more difficult this exercise is going to be. Be ready, if you try this one, to feel it big time in your bicep. And sometimes bicep tendons may get a little bit tender on this because it is a lot of weight and a lot of intensity going through that bicep and the back and scapular region. Nothing builds up the biceps like body weight exercise, bar none. Then we're moving on. This is just something I like to do once in a while. This is my single arm grip grenade row. I like using the grip grenade, of course, strengthens the grip, forearm muscles, but with pulling muscles exercises like this, I was always a big fan of the one arm row back in my weightlifting days. But the problem is the dumbbell, of course, it's a powerful move. The dumbbell would get in the way. Like the plates would come up close to the chest and you wouldn't get quite a big a range of motion. This way, there's nothing to get in the way. Even the handle itself doesn't have to get in the way. So I got a nice twist, nice use of the traps and the rhomboids with this exercise. Very good for the core, hamstrings, and glutes as well. Then after some sets of that, I moved on to this pull-up variation where I'm gripping the bottom of the grip grenade. Very, very disadvantaged grip, if you will. It's something that really works the fingers and the forearm like crazy. So you see I'm not leaning very far back. In fact, I'm almost completely upright when I'm pulling myself up. This is almost entirely just working the grip, working the forearm muscles like crazy, harking back to my old rock climbing days when I used to have crushing grip strength. I built the grip grenades for this specific exercise. You can see there I put the bottom of it in my palm and I wrap my fingers around versus when I do my pull-ups and the exercise you saw before, the fingers are on top of the grip grenade. Okay, moving on, this is a different pull-up variation that I like. This is a stiff arm pull-up. A lot of people mistakenly think I'm doing a leg raise here, but that's not at all what I'm doing. Of course, this does work your abs and your core, but what I'm doing effectively is it's kind of like the old-fashioned pullovers, where you pull the dumbbell up and over your body. Thing is, it's a very strong exercise, and it's easier to do with a lot of weight with this variation. Moving on, supersetting with curls. Again, all of this I consider pull-ups. This is still a pull-up. A pull-up in my book is anything where you grab onto something and you pull your body towards it. So this is, of course, the curl variations hitting the biceps, But the biceps are not the only muscle working here by far. I'm also working on my upper back, my deltoids, squeezing my glutes, my hamstrings, all that. The biceps are just the moving muscle group here. Back in the day, I was a big fan of like preacher curl machines and preacher curl benches and things like that. This exercise here, by far and away, more effective at targeting those biceps. I'm also, you can see now, I've got the wide grip or the wide anchor points with this exercise, and that facilitates a little bit more resistance coming inwards as I curl. Just a different view of the stiff arm pull-up here. It's again coming straight down and pulling up. You can see in my arms there, even though the arms aren't bending, the biceps are still getting some work from this. If you try this one out on your own, be ready to feel it in the biceps the next day. It works the arms in a very unique way. Usually about 5 to 6 repetitions on that one is my favorite. The straighter your body is, the harder it is. And of course, then I finish off with a little bit of, these are my strap bridges. I've been asked to demonstrate these in video past couple of weeks. This is good for the muscles along the spine. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm arcing my back from one extreme to the other. So we have spinal flexion and then spinal extension right there. Bending the elbows makes it a little bit easier. Putting your feet forward or back also is a good way to adjust it. This is not about the hips. I'm not squeezing my glutes terribly to get this to pop up. I'm also not springing upwards. You want to be very smooth, very relaxed with that exercise. And then just to finish off, I play with an exercise here. This is kind of a mini workout that I like to do. Parallel bars, rings, that sort of thing, where I hang upside down. Of course, you always want to have good grip on this. It's not totally straight up and down, so my abs stay engaged. Lowering the hips, I pick myself up using the biceps, keeping the traps engaged, touch the ankles, and pick myself back on up to straight. Never going to failure on this one. This is definitely one of those exercises where if I can feel like I can do 5, I do 3. Because anything where you're doing something inverted with body weight is, of course, one of the few cases when body weight exercise can pose a little bit more of a risk. Handstand workouts, inverted work like this. So this is just something I play with, focusing a little bit more on keeping the biceps engaged the whole time. Also, when I'm sitting in the chair, so to speak, when my legs are coming down, I'm really working on keeping my upper back engaged. A lot of times when people are doing this sort of exercise, you'll see their back round and arc, but you can see how straight my spine is there. That's the main thing that I've been working on with this exercise here. So that's, again, one of my typical leg or back workouts, not the same thing all the time as always. Questions down below. Till then, this is Matt Schifferly reminding you to be fit and live free.